Yeah.
Yeah, Meghna, we are good to go.
Oh, great. Thank you. Thank you, Abhilash. Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible. My name is Meghna Sen, and I'm the Regional Curriculum Manager at Clay Prep Schools in Daycare. I would like to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedules and attending this webinar today. You can post your questions in the chat box, and towards the end of the session, I will respond to them. I will try my best to answer all your questions. However, if we are running short of time, I might not be able to answer them. Please feel free to write to us on the email address that is provided at the end of the session. We will definitely get back to you. So in today's session, we will discuss about the 4 points that you see on your screen. Why do children behave the way they do? Understanding different kind of behavior in children, connection between the brain development and how that impacts the child behavior, and lastly, a few approaches about how we should guide our children towards positive behavior. So, what is temperament? Everyone is born with a personality and a temperament. Why? While the child is in the mother's womb, some mothers can even feel their child's temperament. They can feel if the baby is active. So, a child's temperamental traits consistently predict their cognitive and social thinking. Temperament is also related to social behavior. The behavior that you see on your screen may not be applicable to all children. I have only picked a few instances where we have seen behavior could be a challenge, but there are children who sleep or eat well, those who are moderated. Those behaviors are not what we would discuss about today. We are discussing behaviors that we want to turn into positive behavior. Some of the infants like to be held constantly. They generally don't like to be put in a crib or a bed. They may be fine to be there for a couple of minutes, but after that, they would like to move. In infants, the crying curve peaks at about 2 months of age and it settles down once the child is about 4 to 6 months. However, children don't completely stop crying. They will continue to do so, um, but the intensity will get lesser. They don't like isolation, that's nighttime or daytime, so they don't like to sleep on their own. We do begin to see that once our infant is about 7 months or so, they do not easily accept change in the caregivers. It does become very difficult for us as parents to be around with the child all the time. They don't like cribs, they don't like car seats or anything that can confine them. There may be some who may be extremely sensitive to stimulus. So if we are talking, if we are taking our infants out to the mall where there is a lot of stimulation, there is a lot of noise, people, chances are that they may become very sensitive and they may cry for a while or so to release the anxiety they have. So what happens with toddlers and preschoolers? Generally, they prefer real items over toys. So if we give them a toy or a laptop, uh, a toy laptop or a toy cell phone, they generally would prefer to have the real one, which is probably your phone or your laptop. They do have unpredictable mood swings. Some toddlers may wake up cranky from most of their naps. This can also happen with some kindergartners. They may not be very good sleepers either. They may also end up waking a lot at night. The quality of their sleep improves in the schooling years. Children go through a separation anxiety. So, generally, when we leave our child with a caregiver, we bid goodbye. The child cries for about a few minutes, but they will settle down into an activity with a caregiver. The toddlerhood is a very active time and they like to move while they're sleeping. There may be some who may be picky eaters, and that is a very normal developmental phase. Most toddlers are picky eaters. Their frustration tolerance is generally very low. So, when we say no to something, they really have a hard time to listen to that. They like to have a lot of attention and physical contact. Well, they like to be cuddled, held, carried, which is a lot of physical attention. They often have severe resistance to daily routines. So you must have seen that it might be really challenging to, follow a daily routine. A lot of things can be a battle, and this is a persistent characteristic. They can cling on to you in new situations or when they meet strangers. They might hold back when we take them to a birthday party. So you might just, there may be a few of you who may think that, my child doesn't socialize, or, he's not comfortable, but that is something which is very normal initially. So they generally don't want to go happily and play with children or adults they aren't familiar with, which actually is fine. Well, another important thing is that they are not distractible, which is really hard because we use that tool, um, to distract children when we want to shift their attention from something. And children can be very persistent. They might just go back to that toy or that, situation and say they want it. Generally, when a child throws a tantrum, it may last for about 15-20 minutes. In some children, the duration of this tantrum can even last up to an hour or so. So, generally, children may be upset or cranky because um, of some of these reasons. So, what is so what is attention? So we spoke about some of the behaviors that you may see your child having, and because of those behaviors, these because of those aspects, these can be a few behaviors that you may see in your child. So yeah, so attention seeking. Some children love to be the center of attraction at all times. It's very hard for us as adults to understand why, and may not make sense to us, but for them it makes perfect sense. So at about the age of 2, children still don't understand value of sharing and seeing things from another person's point of view. Some of them like to be the star of the show no matter what. We also experience this when a new baby arrives. So if there has been a birth of a child at home, the older sibling, the child doesn't understand what is happening, but does feel about it deeply. It might be fun and interesting for a child to play with their newborn sibling, but they don't like it when we as adults give the newborns too much attention. I'm sure you must have experienced for those parents who have 2 children, when the younger one is born, the older one doesn't like it because until now it was me who used to get all the attention, and now suddenly the focus is changed, and the new born child is getting more attention than me. So you know so moving on, children usually want to be very close to their parents and can get upset when separated. So anxiety generally starts at about 7 months of age. It intensifies to a peak just after the first birthday, and and generally um, wanes off over the next years, next 3 years or so. So there can be times that a child faces tiredness. Some of the reasons that may cause a child to be tired can be lack of sleep, illness, or maybe side effects of some kind of medicine that the child has been having. Well, tantrums can be of different kinds. So, if it is an emotional meltdown, this is when a toddler gets overwhelmed by feelings of sadness, excitement, fear, or just loses it. Or then it can be a situational tantrum where the child is angry or frustrated about a particular situation. So maybe something to do with having to sit for a very long time, not being able to do what she wants to. And the next could be a mock tantrum. Now, this is where the child exhibits manipulative behavior that starts to occur when your child, when we give into our child's behavior. Well, tantrums can continue to go on for years if we don't handle them properly. So, there is a connection between the brain and the child's development. The first thing some of the experts say is that stress and trauma have negative impact on the child's brain. So, things like threatening, shouting, screaming, shaming all contribute to stress in young children's lives. It is important to keep children away from those kind of attitudes, and also necessary to make sure that none of the adults who take care of these children should model this kind of behavior. If the child's behavior is managed inappropriately, it will lead to stressed out brain. We as adults need to understand that why does the brain go into a mode where a child tries or begins to misbehave? There is a small part of our brain called the amygdala. It's present on both sides of the brain. It is a small almond shaped part in our brain. It is the amygdala that controls emotions and is like a safeguard in the brain and does not allow stress to overcome the function of the brain. Let's try and see how this works. Let's try to see how this works. It works as a security agent. So if it perceives stress or threat, the amygdala shuts down the brain. The brain goes into a lockdown mode, and the children have four kinds of behavior, which are fight, flight, flock, or freeze. It's important for us to understand that when the amygdala is triggered, it will even control the prefrontal cortex, which is also called the thinking brain. So, if a child perceives stress, the amygdala takes over the thinking brain and shuts it down, which means that the primitive brain of the child has taken over. And how does the primitive brain function? It just has four reactions. So, which is fight. So, if it is that reaction of a fight, this is when the child will resist and object to everything that we are trying to say. The child may throw a tantrum, might protest. Flight, here, the child might start crying, um, might just want to go to the washroom, or just doesn't want to be there. Basically, the child wants to leave the situation and go. Yeah. Okay. So the next the next reaction would be flock. When I say flock, you might have noticed that if you happen to call a child alone, the child might hide behind others, right? It can be other children. Um, so in this mode, a child is seeking to find a group of people to hide behind them. Um, so when a child is in a freeze mode, here the child is unable to understand the situation or answer any question because they have frozen with fear. So we need to understand that the brain plays a very important part in how children behave. So if we want to reduce our child's trauma, or if we want our children to listen to us, or not model any kind of inappropriate behavior, then we must think and ask ourselves that we are not somewhere contributing to this behavior. This will help us as adults to take care of our emotions, and our stress does not pass on to our children. Our stress, screaming, anxiety is being perceived as a threat by the child. So it's important for us to understand that discipline should never be physical. Discipline is about guiding and encouraging the right kind of behavior. Discipline gives children a sense of feeling what they may or may not do, certain things. Through discipline, children learn to behave in a way that leads to encouragement that may interpret as indications of love and acceptance. It helps children to develop a conscience that guides them in making their own decisions and controlling their behavior. So there are times, so we all have this thought that how can I, help or guide my child towards positive behavior? So there are times when parents speak about their child's behavior, and they say that I need to be patient with my child. Being patient means that I have to bear it. I don't have any control over the situation. When it comes to managing the child's behavior, patience is something that is not going to help us. What is going to help us is understanding the situation. Because when we are trying to understand the situation, we will be able to think why the child is behaving in a certain way, instead of just being patient and allowing the time to pass. It's important for us to understand if the child is misbehaving or is it mistaken behavior. Let's try to understand why the child is behaving in an inappropriate way. Why are we shouting, crying? running, pulling, biting. Why are they doing all of that? Are we mistaking their behavior and not able to look beyond the behavior and trying to understand what is causing it? Because if we want to change our child's behavior, it is necessary that we get to the root of what is causing the problem. So here we will have to guide our children to change their behavior. Well, can we control their behavior? If you ask me, we can't control their behavior, but we can certainly guide them to change their behavior. It's important for children to understand what is acceptable behavior and unacceptable behavior. So, um, so children communicate their needs and respond to situations differently, right? So, there are a few points which you may now see on your screen. Yeah. These will help us manage our children's behavior better. Most children cope easily if they know in advance what is going to happen. Carrying out tasks in the same way or at the same time every day helps children become familiar with what is expected of them. Routines can be used to set up clear boundaries. For routines to work, it's important that everyone involved with a child follows the same routine. Children who cannot communicate their needs can be frustrated. So it is important for us as adults to understand, to try and understand what our child is trying to say. So let me give you an example here. So there is the child who might want to drink water but isn't able to express himself. So we as adults can talk to the child by asking, are you feeling thirsty? Or you might want to even ask the child, are you feeling hungry? At times, while speaking to our children, we can also show them a bottle of water or ask them if this is what you want to eat by showing them a snack box and ask them, do you want to eat something when you show them the snack box? It's a good idea to speak to the children as much as possible. Also, when you're trying to show a bottle or a box, ask the child, what is it? Let the child attempt, if possible, to repeat what you're saying, if possible only. So, children should sleep at least 12 to 14 hours a day, depending upon the child's age. It is very important to establish a bedtime ritual. Their meals should have the right nutrition that a child requires for their growth. The child shouldn't only be given too much of carbs or junk food to eat. Uh, it's important that the child has had enough physical activities every day. So please take, so it's great if we can take the child to play in a park because that will help us channelize their energies, energy. Most of our family settings nowadays is that of a nuclear family, and so it becomes very important for a child to socialize with children of their age. It is important for children to socialize because it helps in their own development. Many a times The young children are at a stage of me, myself. So when we talk about praise and encouragement, it is not about telling the child, you are a good boy or you are a good girl, you did it. Rather, we should be saying that good job, you put your shoe back in its place. So the child is anyway good. It is the behavior that is acceptable or unacceptable. And we here should be addressing the behavior. So just by saying good job, well done, so it's important that we tell the child which behavior was good and why the child is being encouraged. They say that so they say that behavior has got a lot to do with socio-emotional development. So let's see how socio-emotional development, if handled and nurtured by understanding it, can help children become better individuals. One of the most important aspects of socio-emotional development is called perspective taking. The only difference between us and the apes is the prefrontal cortex, which can be referred to also the thinking brain, as I mentioned before. It's important for us to develop the prefrontal cortex of the brain. This helps children to focus, pay attention, and use logic. Perspective taking means to put yourself into someone else's shoes, to put yourself into other person's shoes, to understand what they may be feeling. And this takes time to build in children. It is important for us to understand that young children lack these basic things of socio-emotional development, which are perspective taking, pro-social behavior, self-regulation, and impulse control. Let's try to understand how these contribute to socio-emotional development. By understanding this, we will be able to help our children overcome their behavior issues. So, what is perspective taking? Talking about emotions help instead of telling a child, do not cry. So many a times, what we do is if the child is crying, we tell the child that, oh, don't cry, or don't push, or don't hit. But rather, we should tell our child that I understand you want to go out and play, but this is not the right time for you to go out and play. So, by doing this, we are acknowledging the child's emotion and saying, why are we not willing to give in to that emotion? I understand that you are upset because she pushed you, and so you even bet her. But we don't beat. Instead, we can, but you can speak to an adult. Maybe if the child is in the school, the child can speak to the teacher at home. They can speak to you. We can tell them that if you have a problem, either come to me, go to teacher, go to papa, or the nanny who's there to take care of her of the child. So here we are acknowledging the child's emotion, which becomes so important. According to research, it is said that talking about emotions and feelings while conversing with children help them build the perspective taking skills. So the more we talk and encourage our children, it will our the more we talk and encourage emotions, children are able to relate this with what I am feeling now is anger. What I did was not the right thing that I did when I was angry. So I am not wrong. So it is not wrong to be angry, but it is wrong to do what I was doing while I was angry. Yeah. So we should label our child's emotion and sorry behavior. We as adults should be in charge of our own emotions because if we are angry or anxious, the chances of that emotion passing on to children is very high. When we feel we have lost control of all the situation, it's a good idea to take a deep breath, and trust me, it really helps. Pro-social behavior is about working in a group, uh, in a group, children at the age of 4 or 5 years have just emerged from solitary play stage. They are not used to sharing or caring. This will have to be modeled for them. We can teach them about this through games. So pro-social behavior means when I do this activity with another child, I will enjoy it, I will like it, and I will get success from it. At school, there is a game which we make our children play, the parachute play. This game teaches them that when you play together, you get success. And if each one of you did it differently, you won't be able to achieve the goal. There are many such games that we can make our children play to make them perceive their behavior. Self-regulation in children, so self-regulation, here children lack the ability to regulate themselves um, to control themselves from a behavior. So, for example, I'm learning to talk, so I can't control what to speak. Or, for example, I am learning to walk, so I don't know how well I can walk. Yeah. Um, so self-regulation is generally because they're less impulsive. They think before they do something and they're not able to control their emotions. It's necessary um, and important. So, which means the regulation of my behavior is intrinsic and not from the outside world. And that's where we have to help our children reach that stage. If we try to micromanage them, children will never learn to self regulate. Another game which we often play with children is the Simon Says. It helps children develop impulse control. So it's something where I want to do something, but I can't do it until Simon says. So I may want to get up, I may want to probably run out of this room, but I cannot do it because I still have to get that instruction. So there is that impulse control that the child learns. So it is important for us to remember that children generally don't misbehave without a reason. It is for us to interpret their behavior and guide them along. So, this brings me to the end of my presentation. So, if there are any questions, I'd be happy to take them. Yeah. So I'm reading out the question. My son is 2 years old and frequently changes his behavior. At times he's very happy and joyful, but at times he gets angry and is upset and also scared and starts crying. It is very difficult to determine the reason. For example, today he will enjoy one child's video, but if he sees that again the next day, then he may start crying. And again, after a while, he may enjoy. How do we deal with this kind of mood swing? Okay. So, so there can be reasons like, there may be something that the child is not liked in the video, or these generally there are times when, a child might find something very interesting to do and soon not want to do it. So that's very normal. But if there is something that repeatedly is bothering the child, then that is something you may want to look at. But yeah, there are times when a child finds something very interesting and likes maybe doing something, and the very next hour he may not want to do it for the simple reason that they kind of tend to lose interest in it and also want to explore more and different things that may be, you know, may be available or that they can do. I think there is a request of, can we please do a quick recap of the session for us who have joined a little later? Sure. I can take you through a few points and through the PPT, just maybe, a few points that briefly I can take you through. Mhm. Yeah, I see a couple of more requests that for a recap who joined in late. So we did speak about different temperaments. So different temperaments in children, like basically we are born with certain temperaments, and so a child's temperament traits consistently predict their cognitive and social thinking, and temperament is related to social behavior. So these are a few common behaviors that you may see in infants or in toddlers and preschoolers. So not all children have these behaviors. So these are not applicable to all children, but these are a few instances that we have seen behaviors which could be a challenge, and children may go through these, while some of the children may really seem to eat, sleep, or do certain things very well. So these are a few behaviors that you may experience, you see with your child. So then, yeah. So these then behaviors can lead those uh, behaviors can lead to attention seeking, strong feeling, frustration, fear, tiredness, tantrums. So there can be times when you see these kind of behavior in your children, and then what happens is that there is a connection between the brain and the child and the children's development. So I'll just talk about this a little because it will help you understand why children behave in a certain fashion. So some experts say that stress and trauma have negative impact on the child's brains. So things like threatening, shouting, shaming contribute to young children to the stress in young children. So it's important to keep the children away from those attitudes, and also necessary to make sure that none of the adults who take care of children should model this behavior. So there is a small part of our brain called the amygdala. It's present on both sides of the brain. It is a small almond-shaped part in our brain, and it is the amygdala that controls the emotion and is works like a safeguard in the brain. It does not allow stress to overcome the function of the brain. So it works as a security agent. Um, if it perceives stress or threat, then the amygdala shuts down the brain, and then the brain goes into a lockdown mode. So children have different kinds of behavior, have four different behaviors, which is the fight, flight, flock, or freeze mode. So it's important that we understand when the amygdala is triggered, it will even control the prefrontal cortex, which is the thinking brain. So if a child perceives stress, the amygdala takes over and the thinking brain shuts down, which means that the primitive brain of the child has taken over, and the primitive brain of the child has taken over. Uh, then we spoke about, is it understanding discipline? Um, so it helps children develop a conscience that guides them to make their decisions later and control their own behavior. Uh, yeah, so these are a few approaches, you know. So it's not about being patient when a child has a certain kind of a behavior, but it is important for us to understand what that behavior is, and it is important for us to get to the root cause of it and try to help the child with it. So it's a good idea to observe what happens before and after a behavior. So it's important that we measure how often it happens or how long it lasts. So if you're seeing your child cry regularly, it is important for you to see is there something that is triggering the child to cry, or does it happen when the child wakes up from sleep, or it can be when a child, is seeing a stranger, or when you're taking the child to a park. So it depends. It's a good idea to, uh, make a note of all these things. Also look if there is a pattern to this. So there can be, a pattern. So you might just see that every time when, it is about 11:30, 12, that the child feels very cranky. And so basically the child is hungry and wants to eat, but because the child is not being fed in time, the child may be cranky. And um, so yeah, so it's important that you understand what kind of uh, turn is there in the child's behavior. So we should continue to keep measuring this, and try to um, understand and observe it, for us to encourage a new behavior and help them develop new behavior. Sorry. So these are a few positive approaches that we can follow. Establishing daily routines, working on building communication. So if your child is very young and cannot talk, it's important that we communicate. Communicate doesn't only mean that the child should be able to communicate. He can also communicate through, sign language, or just by pointing out or showing, pointing out at something. Helping the child have better sleep patterns. So it's important that we establish a healthy and routine. So it's important that children have enough of sleep, and uh, otherwise they will wake up tired and cranky, and then the entire day they might not feel good. Sorry, and it might lead to tantrums and all of that. It's important that they have physical activities that they are exposed to. It's extremely important. They should have, in the kind of in the kind of lifestyle we all live, it's important that they, have get taken outside to play. It helps in their own development. Social skills, interaction with their peer group is very important, because um, if at all your child is the only child, so peer interaction may not happen if if there is no other sibling. So it's important that the child has a peer group and interacts with them, because it's important that they have a social interaction with them, um, because that's where they learn to share, care, and it is important for their own development and growth. Um, yeah, so encourage and praise. So do encourage the behavior that your child models. So if at all the child has, put the book in the place, or try to fold his clothes and put it, stack it where it has to be, appreciate that behavior, rather than saying, oh, good boy, good job, well done. So the child just doesn't understand what is good job, and uh, you know or great job or well done. So it's important that we speak about that behavior and tell them that that's what is the reason why you're saying good or appreciating them. Um, yeah. So we did speak about perspective taking, pro-social behavior, and how regulation will help in the three aspects of it. So yeah. So as I said before, it is important for us to remember children don't don't misbehave without reasons. It is for us to interpret their behavior and guide them along. So I hope I've taken that request of, uh, yeah, okay, great. Any more questions? Oh, oh. I'll try to take questions of, I'll try to take a few questions, but for those who I'm not able to answer now, we have about another 5 minutes. But for those whom I'm not able to answer, we will make sure that, we get back to you. If you leave your email IDs, we'll reach out to you with an answer. My child, okay, so my child is 4 years old and cries and gets hurt with all the little things. Example, if no one wants to play with him, or someone says no to him, or somebody is not sharing with him. So how do I make him understand why this is happening? Okay. So there are times when the child may feel that, I'm not getting enough of importance, or try to talk to the child and, try to understand that why the child is doing so, or, why the others are not sharing their toys. Generally, in the age group, so what happens is that they still don't feel, many children don't feel comfortable sharing their things till about 4 5 years of age. So there are times when children might not want to share their toys with another child. So maybe, that's one of the reasons that he must be experiencing that. Um, my child, my child is an introvert and he's 5 years old. It takes time for him to open up with new people. Um, so both children of his age and adult. Yeah, so it is common that some children are, I won't say introverts completely. There are introverts, there are extroverts as well. And if it's an introvert, the child doesn't like to speak to, anyone whom they're not comfortable with. There will be a few people that the child feels comfortable talking with, and there will be very few sentences that the child will speak. This is a kind of nature that the child has. So even like in adults, if you may see, there may be a few people who speak very less, and there may be a few people who speak a lot. So that's the nature. While we can encourage our child to speak to others, but yeah, but then there will be a limit beyond which the child may not feel comfortable doing so. Yeah. So I think we've completed an hour, and yeah, I think, yeah, so that's the only thing that I can see on my screen as of now. Yeah. There's another question that has come by. Let me read it aloud. Yeah, so my kid is 10 months old and he's getting addicted to mobile. My wife, myself are working software professionals. We will work we will work on laptops and reply over mobiles. So can we avoid that? So how can we stop it going forward to avoid my kid to get used to smartphones? Okay, so ideally, as per World Health Organization, the child shouldn't be given any screen time, and 10 months of age, you should not allow, I mean, not expose the child to any kind of laptop or smartphones. It's a good idea, maybe it's a good idea between the two of you to have a schedule where you spend enough of time with the child. So if at all you have about 4 hours that you may work, and then take a break of about couple of hours when the child is awake to be with the child in turns. So it will help the child have some kind of interaction, human interaction, instead of gadgets. So ideally you should not be exposing the child to any gadgets at this point in time. It's not healthy for the child and for the brain, so it's not a good idea. Yeah, I think that's all I see on my screen. Abhilash, can we get recording of this session? Yes, that is something which I'd request Abhilash to answer. Abhilash, are you there? Well, about can we share the recording for the session? I see another request. Well, we can, I'll have to check whether that can be possible. So we'll check and we'll get back to you. But you can reach out to us if you have any queries, and we would be more than happy to answer them for you. Yeah, all right. I think that's all I'm able to see on my screen. I've answered the questions that I've seen on my screen. Yeah. All right. So thank you so much once again for attending the webinar. I hope it helps, and we are able to help our children model positive behavior. If there are any more questions, you can feel free to write to us at parentsupport@clayschools.com, and we will definitely reply back to it in some time, in a couple of days. Please write to us on parent.support@clayschools.com if you have any more questions. Thank you and have a good day ahead. Bye-bye.